So welcome everyone. I'm Rochelle Wilhite, the designated broker of the Best Choice Realty. And tonight we're going to be talking about winning the deal when it comes to a cover letter. So this is a new one. I was inspired after the panel discussion I think it was a couple weeks ago. Gosh, I lost track. About cover letters and whether our buyers should be doing love letters. And I think the resounding answer was, why are the agents not cleaning up their act? Why are we not doing a cover letter? Why are we not looking professional? Like, we're Best Choice Realty, we should be having cover letters. And what I'm finding as I'm looking at some of the offers that some of our buyers agents, hopefully none of you on this call are doing this, but I know some people are, so I'm gonna try to clean up the mess that we've created out there. But because we're so busy and we're writing offers and we're trying to get signatures, this is one of the things that was really offensive to top listing agents. And they said this at the panel a couple weeks ago. And if you've done this, probably stop doing that, because you'll have a higher chance of you getting your offer accepted. But you take the forward of the authenticsign. So your client signs the offer, right? You get the forward that comes into your inbox, and you just click the forward button and you forward it to that listing agent. And that's it. That's all you do. And if you're doing that, you got to stop that right now. And you've got to look and listen to what we're going to talk about tonight, because it's all about the cover letters. It's all about starting that negotiation from the moment that you put an offer in front of that listing agent. I don't know about you, but Cheryl and I worked in the time when you actually had to sit there at the house and there was more negotiation based on fax machines and confirming that that offer was presented at its best light. And that's what the top producers or some of these listing agents that are accepting and reviewing your offers are experiencing, and they don't like these forward and this hurry and get the offer submitted. They want a very professional touch. So much so that we're going to spend the entire 30 minutes here talking about cover letters and trying to get you guys to clean up your act a little bit. So bear with me, but I have a scenario. One of our agents, Stephanie, was so kind. I talked to her earlier today, and she said, Rochelle, it's okay. I lost out, but I want to know what I can do to make this better. She was so close to getting the winning offer, and she was in a very fierce competition, probably the fiercest I've seen in a long time. This is her cover letter. And when I say cover letter, she did not just do what I told you guys that some of the agents are doing, which is just forwarding the authenticign. In her email, this in essence was her cover letter. But even Stephanie can learn a few things. And I'm hoping today that by the end of the session, you guys will get a few tips of what to do and what not to do. So this is not a winning cover letter, although we're going to critique it today. And hopefully I'm not super offensive. Stephanie told me I could bring her up because she wants to learn and she is okay with you guys learning with her. Her buyer, so she wrote here, that is in love with the house. So she's trying to make that connection. She put the address in the subject line, and she wrote in there, it's a cash offer, listing price with escalation up to $720. I can't remember. It was like, I think in the fives, stepping up $5,000. So she bullet pointed out what she wanted to share with the seller as the bullet points. And then she said, loan comments letter is attached. Cash out $500,000, $220,000 cash will be paid by bank. And then she provided the lending officer's name and phone number and all of the address. So I think Stephanie was thinking this was a good thing. And although we like a cover letter, on something like this, where she's really wanting to highlight that her client had cash, we probably didn't want to provide all of the lending information in the cover letter. So you really need to think about how your offer is being received, because this is what happened. So she sent the offer. It was a really good offer. It was a solid offer, no finance contingency. It was cash. But here's the dialogue. There were 80 offers, you guys. 80. 80, not 8, 80.
Wow.
And we were number 2. And I don't know about you, but I don't like being number 2. I like being number 1. So, and I appreciate Stephanie for calling me today and going, Rochelle, what could I do differently? Is there something? I'm like, that is so amazing. You bring this to my attention, because we're going to talk about cover letters. So the listing agent said, just a quick update, we received close to 80 offers. So the listing agent's asking for some time. Yesterday we reviewed and reduce the offers being considered to a few, including yours, and hope to have a decision to be made by late morning today. So Stephanie did a great job of communication. So I'm not going to pick on Stephanie on her cover letter. I think we could do better on our cover letter, but I want to highlight that Stephanie did a great job of communicating with the listing agent. She wanted to continue to have that conversation. So she said, "Thank you for the update. Oh my goodness, close to 80 offers." Our buyer's agent said that. That's Stephanie. "Thanks so much for your hard work. Please take your time. I will change the offer expire date when you need to. Please let me know if there's anything I can do for you." Stephanie is being very good at communicating, and I want to highlight that point on the BA as the buyer's agent. Then she said, "Thanks for the update. Let me know what I can do for your seller. How much is the highest priced? Are we in the 1 or the 2? My offer is cash, close in 18 days. Please let me know your seller's request, how we can make this deal move. We are open to discussing and happy to do it. Thanks so much for your hard work. I will change the offer expired when you need it." Again, this is her conversation that I paraphrased for you to show how good Stephanie was communicating with that listing agent. So it wasn't because we lost on communication. I think we lost on our cover letter, quite truly. So Shannon can go to our cover letter. That would be great. She's pulling it up right now, so give her a moment. Go to next slide first. Yeah. So I'll continue. So get the cover letter ready to go, Shannon, and I'll go through this slide and then we can put it up on the screen. So then the listing agent, unfortunately, I don't know if you've been in this, I've been in these shoes before, but not with 80 offers. That would be a record for me, honestly. But the listing agent said, "I'm writing to inform you and your buyer that the sellers have accepted another offer and the listing will show it pending very shortly. Thank you, and please thank your buyer for the offer." So it's like cry face, unhappy. Oh geez, I have to give my buyer the bad news. But Stephanie kept her positive. "I just read your email. Let me know. What are the top 3 offer prices? How much is the mutual? The reason why I ask is the seller chose this offer over a cash offer. It's a crazy market time. I need that information for my buyer." And then the listing agent simply just said, "Seller chose a cash offer." And then our agent says, "I see. Could you please tell us the price range? How much higher than the offer?" 700,000 cash buyer. Our escalation was 720. "My buyer's a cash offer," she says, "at 720, close in 18 days. Waived everything. Why chose the one with the lower price, but the same cash offer? We are in a fair competing offer. Could you disclose the reason?" And the listing agent says, "As I recall, your buyer was still dependent upon financing." And the only way I could unravel this and really see was based on the cover letter, because the offer had no finance contingency. It was closing very quick. But because the cover letter had the information about the lending, that listing agent, with all the other 79 offers she had to review, probably was confused and chose the offer that had a stronger position or was a bit more organized or had a better cover letter. So I want to show you guys some cover letters that are very successful. One being our very own. Defiance Realty is actually a doing business as a DBA or a brand under Best Choice Realty. They are a strong team down in Tacoma, and they've been using a cover letter for over a year, maybe more, 2 years. But as you can see, this is the letter that their team puts out for all of their offers. Even in a marketplace where it was not very competitive, they basically put, "Your house is beautiful and our buyers are in love." And they write a little cover letter, and this is what gets attached to all of the offers that Defiance Realty or Best Choice Realty, when you're working in their team, they use religiously. They use it with every offer that they submit. And I think it shows very, very well. Do I put bullet points in my offer or in my cover letter? No. Can we, in essence, create this with Best Choice Realty? Yes. And that's what we have for all of you today. So we are going to show you how to use Best Choice Realty's cover letter. But as you can see, Redfin is now doing a cover letter with all of their offers. They have a little highlight and they have the address, and they pre-populate this in their corporate office. We're not a corporation, but we certainly can go head to head with something like this. Don't show this one on the screen, Shannon. Just go ahead and go into the next, our cover letter. So if you guys go into Transaction Desk and you're building an offer in Transaction Desk, you're like, well, how are we going to accomplish this? We're not a corporation, but we have technology tools and you guys are very savvy. I've trained a lot of you on how to use Transaction Desk. and how to use it effectively, I would say we are up to about 95% of the best choice realty brokers at this time today know how to use Transaction Desk to create their offer. So what we've done for all of you, so you can look like Defiance. If you're with Defiance, continue to use their cover letter. It's a winning strategy. But if you go to documents, you'll notice that we have in here the cover letter. You have the hold harmless and the non-refundable earnest money, as we talked about last week. If you were not on last week's session, you'll want to check back YouTube and actually review that, that recording. But you can see the BCR offer cover letters right there ready for you to use. So Lori, our marketing director, went ahead and put this together so all of you can use a very, very professional cover letter. It also has our firm email delivery, support@bestchoicerealty.com right there, so it's front and center. And it has some bullet points about our company and our transaction support manager. And I'm willing to put my personal phone number on your offers. I don't know what designated broker is willing to put their personal phone number on their cover letter, but I'm willing to put my name on your offers to let them know I'm willing to discuss or have a conversation if there's any question about that offer that you're putting forth, because I feel that strongly about our position. Stephanie did an excellent job. She could have been a real witch when it comes to negotiating when she lost, but she kept her professionalism and she was coming at that listing agent from a point of understanding. You don't know what's going to happen. If that other offer that was the 80th, the winning offer, fell through, I'm sure she'd call Stephanie right away and Stephanie would get a chance to work with her. But let's not be in that position. Let's create a cover letter that's a winning cover letter. So I've had Shannon create a signing, because it is at that point where you have to upload it from the signing, and you'll have to select your what offers or what pieces you're going to add into your offer. But just Shannon's going to document it up so you can see how it's done and you can see where it's at. You're going to want to select all of the forms that you need, and as you kind of scroll down, when you're uploading your documents, you'll notice that the BCR offer cover letter is towards the back of all of, you have to scroll down and just make sure you add it. You want to position it and bring it up so it's the first one. Don't put your cover letter at the back. Please don't make me look bad. Cover letter should be number 1, page number 1. And then right here, we've made it nice and easy, because unlike Redfin where they use their computer to populate it, we're going to ask you guys just to drag and drop a text box. So Shannon's doing it right now to show you how easy it is. My Vanna White tonight. Dragging it, and then just you have to grab the corner and you got to practice kind of typing. And we can copy and paste. I think Shannon has some copy and paste that she could do. So this is one that I wrote a long time ago. There you go. But it fits nicely. I don't think you need more space than that. Certainly is enough room. If you wanted to do some bullet points, you could. I never do the bullet points because I like the offer to speak for itself. And I must be boring Eric because he's yawning. So I better pick up my pace here. So you have the offer. So you got local independent experience as the top. Why choose our offer as a fixed? All we're asking you to do as an individual agent, somebody putting a cover letter together, is instead of putting it in your email, try using our cover letter and put that as your first page, because that's required to send to the most likely, if I'm going to work with 80 offers, I'm going to forward all of those offers to my seller. And guess what? You guys, our offer cover letter is going to be the first page that they see. And it's going to have all the information about our brokerage. It's going to have a little nice short letter about your client or about the situation, or about how strong your offer is in comparison to the others. And it's going to have the designated broker's information and their transaction support manager's contact information in case they had questions. And we're willing to back you guys on all of this. So then the question is like, well, what do I write? So Candace, I'm going to turn it over to you. That's where I want you to help us, because you see a lot and help a lot of people, and you yourself write a lot of offers. What would you write in this cover letter? What would you want to see?
Basically, I think the one thing is what's making them stick to this house. What would make them not back out, so just information about the house, why they like the house. Okay. And then towards the end is just kind of really keeping it open, like, there's room for improvement. I want to work with you.
Okay.
Let's have a seamless transaction together. I'd love to be able to create a win-win for our clients. Please let me know if there's anything we can do.
Awesome. And I think that's great. That's a great line. I don't think you coined it yet, Candace, but you could use that. I think that would be a good line. In Shannon's email that she put together, her cover letter, she says, I don't know if you plan to do any counter offers if our offer isn't outright accepted, but please give us every chance to make this transaction work. Our team is really easy to work with. I have an excellent transaction coordinator, and between the two of us, we don't miss a thing. Happy face. You can have fun with it, make it your own, but please allow us to have an opportunity to revise or make this a win-win. I like that idea, Candace, the win-win strategy. That's good.
Yeah.
I think we accomplished that in the very beginning too of Candace's point. We've been searching and submitting offers for a while now together and have had a couple heartbreaks. There's nothing wrong with saying that, we've lost out. Many people have. It shows that we're really, really serious. My clients, and they were called the Odd family, you guys. Their last name was the Odds. Didn't make that up. That was a real client. They're fully pre-approved through our our preferred lender. At the time, it was Christy North. Right now, pre-approval is not good enough, you guys. That was so 2017.
Right.
We've got to get our clients to underwritten, are fully underwritten through our preferred lender. That's the terminology we have to win. Yes.
Double approved.
Double approved. Those are some good words that we can use for our cover letter. And if your buyers are not at this point, get them double apped, get them with another lender that you can trust. Your mentors have people. I just talked to the mentors just last week, and they all have lenders that they trust. And our top producers, you better believe they have a lender that can perform at a high level. Okay. If you're getting cash, you know what? Then say cash. And then we need to structure the offer. We don't need to have, the proof of funds are attached to this offer. You don't want to put any lender information. So Stephanie learned a very valuable lesson that she's allowing us to learn from in this situation. But if this was a cash offer, Shannon, let's go ahead and restructure our our cover letter to be a cash offer. So we can basically structure it like we're Stephanie. So attaches our offer on the 98th Street house. I'm really hoping we can get this house for them. We've been searching some offers for a while now together and have had a couple heartbreaks. Would be purchasing with cash. They put it caps. She did the right thing by putting cash. Okay, and then eliminate everything else. The odds are very flexible on closing date. If your sellers need more time or less time in the house, they're willing to accommodate, or anything else that would be very important to highlight. Rent backs, closing date flexibility, furniture, you name it. These types of things, it goes a long way when you put it in your cover letter. I don't know if you plan to do any counter offers or if our offer isn't outright accepted, please give us every opportunity to make this transaction work. That's all you would need to do for cash. And then you let the document speak for itself. I think too many brokers from other companies are doing their clients a disservice by putting too many bullet points. And at the end of the day, we're just trying to let our offer speak for itself. But in our cover letter, any strong points like cash or things that you can have flexibility on or that are important to your client or that your client wants to inform the seller about, go ahead and put that in the cover letter. But be very careful and cautious more about your bullet points, because the bullet points are not the offer. This is just the cover letter that introduces your client to the scene. Do you agree with that, Candace? I mean, I've seen some bullet points that are crazy.
Bullet points, if you're going to do them, they need to be straight to the point, just straightforward highlight of the information, not too drawn out or too much. It needs to be that special glance, like I want a quick glance. What I also kept hearing is less is more, not necessarily in the offer letter, but just less is more. So straight to the bullet points.
Okay, very good. One of their brokers, Susan Ross, she's been with Best Choice for a while now. She's like, what is going on? She's like, Windermere is getting really fussy about their offers. And I would say every broker is getting very, very fussy about their offers because every offer just about has multiple offers. So we've got to remind ourselves what Candace said, less is more. make sure that we're not adding too much into 22D other, or that we're making things complex. Let the offers speak for themselves. Make sure you know your contracts. And if you don't know your contracts, let me help you in describing the difference between using a 22AD and not. Yeah, so I think that pretty much showcases what we're asking you guys to do. If you are not able to do this yet with AuthentiSign, practice doing a better job in your email of adding what you're talking about, and then kind of move yourselves into using this in Transaction Desk. Baby step it. If you're having trouble writing some cover letters, we can certainly give you some templates you can use to kind of structure and win, because it does have a nice classy approach to how we structure offers to win. Let's go back to the slideshow, Shan, and then we'll wrap it up with, yeah, and then again,
we got lots of questions, but we can end with those here in a minute.
Okay. My last slide is really on the feedback, to wrap up with the feedback from listing agents. So this is one that is actually negotiations today. Like, we don't know if we're going to get it. So I'm going to give you, this is what Windermere told one of our brokers. Received, thank you for an excellent offer. A few things are needed. So maybe we have a chance of actually getting a deal accepted. But evidence of funds or a 22AD in case of low appraisal, they are wanting that. The listing agents are craving that right now. So if you don't know what evidence of funds are, that would be a bank statement. That would be a 401k. It would be blacking out that evidence of where those funds are coming from. That helps in supporting the offer. So if you have an offer all put together with a nice cover letter, what's the harm in showing the bank statement from that VA buyer, that veteran who serves our country and has a nice pre-approval letter, from the lender, but in addition has proof of funds that shows their bank statement that has $300,000 in their bank, right? Black out their account numbers. Please don't just send their bank statement without blacking out their account numbers. But there's no harm in sending proof of funds or showing that they have reserves, so that makes that listing agent feel comfortable in presenting that offer over something else. If the loan approval is not underwritten, show that. Have that lender connect with that listing agent to prove that that is underwritten, or that lender letter needs to be updated so it is showing that it's underwritten. If they're getting a loan, the seller needs to give access for the appraisal. So the only place in the contract that allows for that access to take place, if you are going to be removing your finance contingency, waiving finance, waiving inspection, which many of you are having to do to win, what you're going to need to do is get used to using a 22EF if you're getting a loan that allows for that lender to access the property for appraisal. So 22EF is the form to do that. Also, number 3, the non-refundable. Please do not be using it. I guess you can use it in 22D other, but the agents that we're working with on the other side are either wanting it on their addendum, their broker approved addendum, or they're wanting it on a Form 34 with the appropriate approved language that we discussed last week. So those are the 3 things that it's going to take for one of our brokers to win the deal, it looks like today, is a little bit of cleanup on the contract, but they did a fabulous job of putting a nice cover letter together in an email. So they basically did what we were talking about today, and they put it in the email body, and they have their nice little signature block with their, with their signature there in the line. So we are looking professional for the most part, but we do need to know our forms, and we do need to know how to write a cover letter. I think that would be very strong. All right, so then I'm ready for questions, Shannon. Hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah. I think one of the things I wanted you to touch on, Rochelle, if you're open to it, is, why should we include a cover letter versus just putting it in our email? I mean, just to summarize, isn't it just because it's also considered notice as well?
By putting it in our offer, the likelihood of that listing agent with 80 offers just taking and forwarding all of the documents or printing everything out for their seller that they're going to meet with in person. There are still brokerages. Keller Williams still meets with their sellers in person to present all the offers. That is their business practice. Most of the top producers will literally go and sit with their seller and go over the highlights and the downsides of every single offer they receive. So don't kid yourself. Many people are not using technology in that way, but if they do, the higher likelihood of them forwarding all of the offers, having like offer number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to number 80, it's easier if you have your cover letter as the first page of your offer than to print out your email and then include that with the offer. You're making the listing agent's job easier. So that would be number 1 reason. The number 2 reason is you have all of the credentials of what Best Choice Realty is all about. So in essence, you're competing with a company like Redfin that has, we've done 120 reviews and we've got this or that. And the guy hasn't even done very much. So in essence, you're your own independent company or your own independent agent, but with the backing of a local company that truly wants to help you succeed. And that's, I think, is the number 2 reason to use the cover letter that we prepared. And then I think number 3, it just looks better, honestly, than an email where it's like, hurry and throw it together. It looks like you've spent the time. So just like if you're going to go for a job opportunity, a cover letter sets you apart from maybe somebody that's not doing that. And I think when we really asked the 4 panelists that we had a couple weeks ago, they all said more professionalism is needed in the offer presentation. So I think I gave you 3 good reasons. So did that answer your question, Shannon?
No, that's great. And I think do you mind touching on, I know Lori messaged this over, and this would make our transaction support managers and all that stuff very, very happy in terms of how should we order our documents, when we're preparing it, what goes on top, what goes next, what goes afterwards.
Yeah.
Where do we put the escalation addendum, things like that.
Cover letter goes first. Then I would say escalation is next. And then the purchase and sale agreement, and then the subsequent addenda. Please do not put your Form 17 attached into that. The Form 17 needs to be separate from the package. So really you should be sending the listing agent 2 attachments, the Form 17 with however you're waiving or however you're doing it, and then the offer. It really should be 2 attachments. It should not be bundled together. If you still are doing that, it's a little bit, I'm gonna say it, it's lazy, or you just haven't spent the time to know how to cut it out when you set up your signing. It really needs to be separate. The Form 17 is not part of the offer. It is something though that your listing agents will make it, this one's waived the Form 17 and this one's not. They are making decisions based on Form 17, but it is not part of the offer. It is truly a communication vehicle between 2 parties, the buyer and the seller. It is not part of the offer. It should not be on the addenda line either. If you're doing that, stop it. And also supplements like the 22E, the 22EF, right, Candace? That should be separate. Not 22EF, and talking 22E. Yep,
FERPTA form.
The FERPTA can be bundled with the Form 17. Put that in the same bundle. And that should not be on the addenda line, although it's part of the contract, but it's not really. It's just a method of communicating who's a foreign citizen and who's not, who's responsible for taxes. So it's not part of the purchase and sale agreement. It should be separate as well. So to answer your question, Shannon, all of the, like the 22K, the 22J, the 22T, all of those types of things should be towards the back. But really escalation first, purchase and sale. I would say optional clauses, 22D would be next. Then the 22A, 35W, those can be after.
Yeah, we've got a couple other questions too. So Vu and Cheryl, you clearly are aligned because I've got a couple private messages about this too. But in terms of bundling and presenting that package and attachments in an email, what about buyers' pre-approval letters or love letters? Are people still doing that? If you don't mind speaking on that.
Sure, we did a pulse with the panel. And it was interesting. It was like 50% are not even presenting the love letters. Right, Candace?
Yeah, exactly. It was 50-50. It's crazy.
And so I think what you're going to start to see is you're going to see less listing agents presenting those love letters. But I mean, I would still say the top producers know what love letters are, and they will not make a condition on, they'll still present it because it's considered a notice in the state of Washington. But for example, in the state of Idaho or in the state of Oregon, it's disallowed. You cannot use it. So if we're going to have people from other states, certainly Redfin is not going to be using love letters anymore. That's what we heard from Redfin. You might want to reconsider how you're doing the love letters and make sure they're separate for sure. Don't put them in the same bundle as your offer.
Right.
Maybe have them separate. But it may not be something you really need to spend your time with. I don't know what you think about that, Candace. I'm curious to know.
Well, I think that, I mean, in all honesty, if the listing agent says no love letters, just honor that, respect it and honor it. But I have still sent offer letters over with those that, based on what is requested from the listing agent. It's kind of like follow the guidelines, but I do my best to try to put as much in the cover letter, just kind of a simple, brief snippet of my clients and their love for the home. And so once it goes away, which I feel like it's probably coming, the offer letters, I'm confident in what I'm presenting in the cover letter.
No pictures, you guys, please help us.
Yeah.
No pictures of the people. That one I sat in a very interesting conversation with my attorney and with somebody else's attorney at Keller Williams, and we debated a love letter for an entire day, the entire day, and it was all federal fair housing, issues,
Right.
because of the way the pictures showed. One was a Chinese couple, one was an LGBTQ couple, and the other one, and it was like a debate that we talked about the word couples the entire day. Please don't let me go through that again. So don't use the pictures. If you are going to have your client write a love letter, I still have one personally with love letters. My mom bought a house, my goodness, with a love letter. So I know it still works, but you have to read your audience. And Candace is right. Make sure you follow the instructions of the listing agent. If they're not asking for it, or they strictly say no love letters, don't do it. Don't, try something and swim upstream. It's not going to be the way to go. And realize it's going to be less of that, I think, going forward, and more of doing the cover letter option. So I think somebody asked a question, I saw it come up on the chat. What's the difference between a love letter and a cover letter? The difference is the cover letter is from us, and we are bound by certain rules of conduct. We know how to not violate fair housing, right? And we are going to check with your broker before you write something stupid, and you're not going to put a picture of the couple on the cover letter. So there's things like that will be a difference between a love letter and a cover letter.
Right.
So love letters typically by the client themselves. A cover letter is done by the agent.
Right. We're speaking more to the buyer's viability to perform on the property as opposed to how much in love they are or tons of information about them.
Gosh, I couldn't say it better, Candace. By the end of 30 minutes, I'm done when it comes to these types of calls. So any questions that you have there, Shannon, that came in while we were
there's several. It looks like on a unrelated note to this, why would a seller choose? I mean, we've got a couple people who are like, want the resolution on this scenario that you shared. Like, why would they have chosen this offer versus another one? Why would a seller choose a buyer who sent in evidence of funds versus a 2280? I mean, do you mind speaking on that a little bit, Rochelle?
Well, in this case, they're talking about Stephanie's case, for example, or this one right here on the AD. So this one right here, you're on the screen that we have, or on Stephanie's, which one?
I think both. We got a couple questions from both scenarios.
So Stephanie's was a cash offer, but it was split. So like some of the funds were from like a direct lender where the funds were already liquid, ready to go. And a portion of it was cash in the bank. So I think where we could have done better, obviously with the cover letter, but then in how we wrote up the offer. The 22EF had to describe that, and then the proof of funds needed to accompany that. And then there should not have been any information about the lender. We shouldn't have even put the lender's phone number. It was confusing for the listing agent who had too much information. It made it look like it was contingent on finances. Yeah. That's all it was. And yes, they made a decision that was, I think, only $5,000 or $25,000 less, but they were much more confident working with somebody that had cash in the bank. So the cash in the bank, or that bank statement that showed that they had $700,000, that proof of funds that accompanied the winning offer was what made the seller choose that offer, even over somebody that was willing to pay $25,000 more.
Right.
So
and honestly, if I would have seen it that way, I would have expected too that there was financing contingency. I mean, it was still based on the financing for the second portion. So yeah. Maybe a clear explanation of the type of financing, that it's, pretty much ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the proof of funds as well that was needed,
Right.
showing the two different statements, the proof showing that the money, the $500,000 was in the bank account, right?
Right.
And that the $250,000 was from a direct lender, that the funds were already there. It was not needing appraisal. Some sort of letter showcasing that would be, I think, all that the listing agent would have needed to be able to see that. Yeah, super sad. Then this one, it just needs the listing or the buyer's agent just needs to go in and revise their offer it was written without a 22A, so they did that right. But there's no need of 22AD if you're not using a 22A or a 22AA. A 22AD is not needed. So then you just need to prove funds. So you need evidence of funds. You need to use a 22EF. And then, like we learned from Stephanie, get that proof, find that bank statement, get that buyers to provide where the funds coming from, or where's that underwritten letter from that preferred lender that you guys have. And then use the 22EF that gives them access, that puts the seller on notice that it is going to be funds from Movement Mortgage, for example, but that they need access for the home for the appraisal. Okay. Awesome. That's funny, Sid. eBay with a happy face. I know. Gosh, maybe I should apply to be the eBay director of sales. It kind of feels that way, doesn't it, Candace, when we're talking with people?
Yeah, I mean, I think even just most recently, I've spoken, actually today, there was a good handful of agents that are writing offers and just kind of wanting some information on this. And, going back to even just doing a market analysis and using that to kind of gauge where you're going to put your offer. At this point right now, where we're at, it's more feel the pain. Mr. Buyer, please tell me, what is that dollar amount that you're going to be very upset that if you did not make this offer in this amount, that you are going to be upset that you didn't do this? Where's your breaking point? Where does it say, you know what, go ahead, next person, you have it. And dig into the pain for your buyer and just, make sure that they're putting their 100% best foot forward.
Cool. Great points, Candace. Personal letter from the buyer. Okay, I'm just kind of scrolling through and making sure I didn't miss anything. So yeah, there is going to be a Word document. That was a recommendation that Candace got from the Monsoon group. And we'll get that out to you guys in the next week, along with the recording. So look for that sometime this week. If you want to use the Word document, kind of get used to typing into the Word document, that's fine. Did I answer your question, Lisa, about lazy to keep the Form 17 and the packet together? It's not part of the contract. So Form 17 really should be separate.
I had never heard that. I thought that, yeah, I understood the 22E. This is not part of it, but so only things having to do with financing are part of it.
All your addenda. I mean, pretty much anything that you can bring down on the Dropbox goes there. But like 22E is not one that you can bring down. The Form 17, all your Dropbox items.
All your supplements.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay,
I can send you, Lisa, I'll send you a video that kind of explains why. So you can kind of listen to that later if you'd like.
I believe
that would be super helpful.
Annie Fitzsimmons.
Can I ask one other question?
Sure.
When you are laying out and your item in order, why would you put the escalation in front of PSA?
Because that's some agents, listing agents are also lazy and they don't
flip through.
And they don't flip through. And so I'm seeing more people are putting that at the very beginning, because when we're really looking at comparing apples to apples and trying to see what's the winning bid, it's easier just to get everybody to put the escalation at the very beginning than having to flip back and forth. So if we can train that way, that's probably going to be the way it needs to be, at least for the time being.
Hey, Rochelle, how about the pre-approval letter and the legal? Are those to be separate as well, or can they go with the main contract?
I would say the pre-approval letter, especially if you're doing finance, it goes along with it. It shows that you made application, right?
Okay.
The pre-approval. So I would still put the pre-approval letter at the very back.
I do. I put it at the very end. Yeah.
The very end. And then I'm seeing the legal description actually The lazy agents tend to put it at the very end. The ones that are really wanting to make sure that it's part of the purchase and sale agreement are actually moving it up and putting it right after the Form 21. They're actually moving that legal description. So it's like, oh, it's there. It's
So
interesting.
I usually put the legal right before the pre-approval.
That's
just
perfect.
because it doesn't have a form number on it or something. I like to keep my forms in order. I like your idea, the 35E being first. Yeah, I like that.
I think so too. I think we're seeing more of the legal descriptions. You definitely want that in your bundle. You
Okay.
don't want it separate.
Okay, so the Form 17 and the 22E are pretty much all that and if they have a love letter,
Yes.
those go in a different
Bundle.
secondary batch.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
You bet. Thank you for clarifying on the legal though. Definitely please put the legal description in your first batch. I
Yeah.
don't care where you put it. Just make sure it's there. We don't have mutual unless we have a legal description. And some people have asked, some brokers are really fussy. They want you to initial that legal description too. I'm not that fussy. As long as it's in the bundle, we're good.
Well, and another thing too that came up, a lot of people are using the space on the 22D, that line, I think it's line 12 on the 22D, as to put additional information, pass, fail inspection, earnest money refundable. Get that on a 34 instead of that space, because definitely if you got 80 offers, I could not imagine, bullet pointing and checking that information there thoroughly, Well, I would, but not to say that everybody would.
I know it's hard because sometimes you miss something like that on the 22D. Very good. All right, Shannon, anything else?
Yeah, I think before we let everybody go, I've had a couple people ask me where they can find this. So it is on our website on the downloadables, but I just wanted to show you guys out here on the screen one more time so you knew exactly where it was. So if you're creating a new transaction in paperless area, not paperless in Transaction Desk, on the right-hand side, you can access it here on documents. You can see exactly where they all are. These are all the best choice forms that are published. So you can see we've got the advisory and the seller's market. There's the cover letter. Here's the hold harmless and the non-refundable we talked about last week. As you're kind of preparing your offer, you would be going through all your forms. When you're ready to send them to your client for signature, that's when you can go into signings, create ad, use the new transaction desk. I'm just going to dumb it up for you guys here so you can see it. Add your clients. So in this case, I'm just going to add myself for speed here. And then add your documents and forms. So in this case, say it's, a form, we got a form 22 for 21, 22A, 22D, right? We kind of go down the list. If you scroll all the way down, that's when you can access the documents. The document section will pull all the stuff that was attached to the listing. So if you have a legal description that was there, 22J, 22K, anything that was included in the listing, those would pop up here in documents, as well as all these best choice forms that we talked about earlier. So here's the offer cover letter. I hit add. And then from there, we can kind of move things around to where we want them. So if we want the cover letter first, we can put that there. If we wanted to say this was the 22E, we could move that up as well. From there, then you can hit tools, use the text box feature, and place the text, and you can copy and paste from here. So hopefully that answered all of your guys' questions. I had at least a couple of them through the chat and then a few text messages as well. So let me know if you have issues. You can call Rochelle, Candace, me. Any of us should be able to help you if you need help as you're getting started using the offer letter.
Okay, very good. Okay, super. And thanks you guys for taking the time out of your busy day. Good luck out there. Let's win. Let's be number 1 out of 80, right?
Thanks.
And thank you so much, Stephanie, if you're on. Thank you for letting me have this moment to kind of educate. It was great.